All right. Thanks again, everyone. Welcome to the information to our MBA program here at the Jack H. Brown College at Cal State San Bernardino. My name is Jessica. I am the student recruiter and engagement coordinator. I'm happy to uh, be with you today. Also joining us is one of our students, Melis. I'll give her a chance to introduce herself, but we'll go ahead and get started. For those of you who don't know just where Cal State San Bernardino is, I wanted to just give you an idea where we're located. We do have sometimes a lot of international students or students just from different parts of California, but we're in the city of San Bernardino, inland of Southern California, and we're really proud of our program. We're number 12 for best bang for your buck in the West, according to the Washington Monthly. Number 4 in the nation for social mobility, according to the U.S. News and World Report. And again, that's just an overview of the campus itself. But of course, today we'll talk more in detail about the Master's in Business Administration specifically. At this point, before we dive into what our program is, I'd like to invite Melis, who is one of our current MBA students, to just talk about her experience and just give us an insight on what why she chose the MBA here at Cal State San Bernardino. Hi, Melis.
Hi, Jessica. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. So as an international MBA student here at CSU SB, I have had pretty good experience, I would say. I would like to talk about a little bit about the class schedule and professors. So the professors are not only knowledgeable, but also they were really helpful and they are always willing to provide guidance and support. So apart from the classes, I have had a couple of one-on-one interaction with them, which was really good for me. By the way, I'm in my second year, so hopefully I'll be graduating next year. Um, the flexible class schedule is pretty useful for me because I can work during the day and I can just go to my classes during the evening because most courses offered in the evenings, and this makes it easier to balance my studies with my other commitments. Um, Apart from that, there are a lot of clubs and activities on the campus, which I pretty much like. And we have a really nice campus. It's beautiful for me. I really like it. So it's been pretty nice and very accommodating environment for my academic and professional growth. Yeah, thank you.
Great. Thank you, Melis, again for sharing your perspective. I know you have other commitments, but thank you for joining us. And I'll elaborate a little bit more on some of the reasons why students are choosing the MBA here at Cal State San Bernardino. Melis touched on this a little bit, but the flexibility of the classes, a lot of our students work full-time, some part-time, while they're in our program. So for that reason, we offer evening classes. All the classes that are on campus start at 5:30 or later. Once in a while, there's a Saturday class, or there are also fully online course options or a fully online MBA program as well, which we'll talk a little bit more of. Um, we offer study abroad course, so a study abroad opportunity that you could get academic credit for, graduate assistantship opportunities, and we have a dedicated student advisor that would help you with selecting the class that you need to graduate. So I know this is sometimes common at the bachelor's level, but at the master's level, typically it's not common for our students to have an academic advisor, and we're proud that our MBA has a dedicated advisor. His name's DeLauren West, and he's available specifically to help you again with planning the classes that you need to graduate for the program. And we are one of the most affordable MBA programs in our region. we'll talk a little bit more about the cost, but based on the cost, the quality of the program and the convenience, you'll see that it's one of the best options worldwide. And then to that point, I wanted to talk a little bit more about our distinctions. We're really proud that we are AACSB accredited, which is an accreditation that only 5% of the schools, business schools in the entire nation has. So that in itself hopefully just gives you a better idea of what the quality of the program. As you see, we have a lot of different recognitions, both for our online programs or our on-campus programs. But again, the AACSB accreditation is something that we're really proud of. There are other AACSB accredited schools. For example, UC Riverside is also AACSB accredited. Like I said, there's not a lot, but just locally, their program's also AACSB accredited, but their program's also almost 3 times our price. So just I wanted to kind of differentiate the accreditation so that you can get an idea of really what the value of our program is. Now, we'll talk about what is required to be admitted into our program. So in order to be considered for our program, you'll have to have a bachelor's degree. And for that, we ask for you to submit unofficial transcripts while you're doing your application. We're looking for a 3.0 GPA. However, in instances, we can go down to even a 2.5, just depending on your experience. We'll compensate with your GPA with other items like your recommendation or look at your experience mostly to see if we can go down to a 2.5. As part of the application process, we'll ask you to upload or submit a letter of recommendation from a professional recommender. So that can be a professor, a supervisor, someone who's seen your work and is able to, tell us about recommending you and tell us more about what you do. We'll also ask you to submit your most recent resume, and we want more like a CV, so something very detailed in which you're including the start and end dates for each of your job entries, month and year. Also, statement of purpose, which is 200 to 300 page, 200 to 300 word statement of why you're pursuing our program. Typically about a page long is okay. We just want to learn a little bit more about you. And also an application interview. So once you've submitted the application on Cal State Apply, that's the portal where you submit it. Then you schedule your application interview with us. Now, we're not looking for a specific major, so your bachelor's degree doesn't have to be in a specific major. We don't have any prerequisites. All we're going to ask is for these items and also for the business aptitude requirement. So the business aptitude can be met different ways. We'll talk about the difference between our MBA traditional in comparison to our MBA for executives, but our traditional MBA program doesn't necessarily require any experience. As long as you meet the business aptitude requirement, and that can be met by either having a 3.2 GPA from an AACSB accredited undergraduate business program. So for example, if you graduated from our bachelor's in business here at Cal State San Bernardino, or for example, at UCR, any other program that's AACSB accredited and you received a 3.2 or higher. If that's the case, we can automatically waive the business aptitude, or you can meet it that way. Also, if you've completed an accredited graduate level degree, like a master's or a doctorate degree, that meets the business aptitude requirement. Another way is if you do have at least 2 years of professional or leadership experience, we can take a look at your resume to make the determination, and you can meet it that way. Now, if you don't have any of the top 3, then we may ask for you to submit GRE or GMAT test scores, which are standardized tests that you can utilize to for us to gauge how successful you're going to be in graduate school. So that's if you're pursuing the traditional MBA. Now, if you're pursuing our MBA for executives, The only way you can meet the business aptitude requirement is if you have at least 2 years of professional leadership experience. So we're looking specifically for experience in overseeing other staff, overseeing a facility, overseeing important projects. So that's why it's important that you are detailed in your resume so that we can gauge your experience that way. Now, let's talk about the differences in the programs. So like I mentioned, we have the traditional MBA, which is a program in which you can select a concentration. I'm actually going to jump into the next slide really quick. So if you're pursuing our MBA traditional program, these are the concentrations you can select. So you can select a focus in accounting and auditing, cybersecurity, entrepreneurship, finance, HR management, hospitality management. Interdisciplinary is where you can select from different concentrations. We also have management, marketing management, and global supply chain management. So again, if you're pursuing our MBA traditional, you would select a concentration for you to focus. And most of the concentration options would include 12 classes. If you pursue our cybersecurity concentration, that's 14 classes. So that one is 2 classes longer, just so you know. Now going back to the slide. So again, just to reiterate, it's 12 to 14 classes. Now the traditional MBA program does require on-campus classes. It's not offered fully online. There are some online course options. However, at some point, you'd have to come to campus, typically between 2 to 4 times a week, depending on the semester and the class you need that particular term. Like I mentioned, all the classes, if they are on campus, would be 5:30 or later. Okay. We also have the MBA for executives, which is the one that requires that you have leadership experience, and that can be completed on campus in a hybrid modality or on a fully online modality. Okay, the MBA for executives, both on campus or fully online, are 10 courses. It's the same curriculum. And the difference is going to be that if you pursue it on campus or hybrid, again, you'd have to come to campus at some point, typically 2 to 4 times a week in the evening. And it's on a semester basis. So on-campus classes run on a semester basis, whereas the fully online modality, you have 6 or 5 week sessions. So you only take one course at a time for 6 weeks long. Once those 6 weeks end, you start a brand new course. And again, because it's so accelerated, you typically take only one course at a time with the online modality. If you're pursuing our on-campus classes, most students take between 2 to 3 classes per semester. It's on a semester basis. However, you can decide, how much you can take on and at what speed you want to go on. Now, I'm going to stop here for just a couple minutes in case anyone has questions. I know I've covered a lot of information. Feel free to unmute yourself or raise your hand or put your questions in the chat. Do any of you guys have any questions? No? Okay. All right. So I'm assuming no questions. So we'll go on to the next slide, which we've already
I
covered.
have one, if you don't
Okay.
mind.
Yeah, of course.
Sorry.
Yeah, please.
Do we have to include how many employees we have supervised on
That's a good question.
resume or
If you have that, that helps. Or you can just put like a broad statement like supervised employees. You don't have to put specifically how many. Or if you feel it's it's helpful for me to know, but you don't have to be that specific as to how many employees you've supervised.
Thank you.
Of course. Thank you for your question. All right, so let's talk about cost. Like I mentioned, we're proud, even though these numbers sometimes look scary. If you're comparing us to other schools, we're really competitively priced for the accreditation, especially for the accreditation that we have. So for our traditional MBA, as a resident, you're looking between 38,000 to 43,000 for the entire program, not just semester. This is for the entire program. And this is assuming you're taking 3 classes per semester. If you're taking less classes per semester, it can range because you're getting charged per semester, right? So the more semesters you're with us, you're going to pay more for the program. The 43,000 is for those students pursuing the cybersecurity concentration because it's more classes, takes you longer to complete it. So you can get an idea. If you're a non-resident or an international student, it's between 53,000 to 61,000 roughly. Now for our executives MBA program, it's less classes, it's only 10 classes. For California residents who are taking around 3 classes per semester, the total cost is going to be 30,000. This includes, again, just the tuition, all the student fees. The only thing that doesn't include is textbooks and parking, for example, as well. If you're a non-resident or an international student, it's roughly about 43,000 if you're taking 3 classes per semester. Now, our fully online program, it's a set cost of 33,000 because for this program, you're getting charged per class, not per semester. So each class is 3,300. So again, regardless of how long it takes you to complete this program, it's going to be a set cost. Feel free to unmute yourself if you have questions or raise your hand, or put the questions in the chat. But since we're in the topic of cost, some of the ways students are financing their MBA, of course, you can pay out of pocket, but if you're seeking financial aid, you'll want to submit a FAFSA application so that you can be considered for some of the grants and loans. I'm not going to lie, grants are not very common at the graduate level, especially because most of our students are already working, and a lot of the grants are sometimes income-based, based on your income, your household size. But most students do qualify for loans, which you could use to pay your tuition up front, and then, you pay back your loan directly to the Department of Education once you've graduated. And then we have graduate assistantships opportunities in case you wanted to work on campus. That's another way to help fund your MBA. So again, this is just a very, just a small percentage of ways you can finance your degree. You can also seek, for example, private scholarships, also which require a little bit more research. So with scholarships, the way they work, you have to research and find your own scholarship. Each one requires its own application, and just because you submit an application doesn't mean you're going to receive a scholarship. Melis, I see you kind of shaking your head. Did you want to add into that since you have the experience of applying for scholarships or potential financial aid?
Yeah, as far as I know, for resident students, it's way easier to get financial aid. Since I'm an international student, it was really hard for me. But I am working as a GA right now at the MBA office, so it helps me a lot. Other than that, I'm just searching for extra outside scholarship opportunities. So there are ways, but for resident students, it's much more easier.
Thank you. Thank you, Melis, for sharing that. Yeah, so like she mentioned, sometimes international students don't qualify for FAFSA loans or grants or any of that. So she's kind of on her own. So she's gotten very good at searching for scholarships, and she is also our graduate assistant. So she works with us at a part-time basis. So there's different graduate assistantship opportunities as well. So just to give you an idea of what that looks like. Thank you, Melis. Now, here's just an overview of some of the MBA events that we have for students once they join our program. We have a new student orientation in fall and spring for all our new students, where we introduce the staff and some of the programs that academic advising. You'll learn a lot more of that through your new student orientation, but like I said, we do have a designated academic advisor. We have the Passport Leadership Program where we'll host different events throughout the year, both on campus or sometimes fully online, and you can attend those to promote your engagement in the campus and the program. In exchange, if you attend a minimum number of events, you collect a stamp, kind of like a passport. And at the end of the year, if you collect a minimum number of stamps, you get a Passport Leadership Award. We also have MBA student ambassadors. We select just a handful of students to represent the MBA student body. And our student ambassadors, for example, Melis is one of our student ambassadors, will speak with prospective students about their experience, just give them an insight. In return, student ambassadors can qualify for professional development funds to attend, for example, conferences, buy professional development books, for example, depends. And then we also have Coyote Network, which is our version of LinkedIn. So just a network with other alumni or current Coyote students. Coyote's our mascot for those of you that don't know. Yes, so just so you can network with others in the program, in our university currently and who've graduated with us in the past before. And then it's just some resources that I always like to talk about so that if and when you join us, you're aware of some of the resources. Like I mentioned, we have a Students with Disabilities Services office in case you need accommodations. We have a recreation and wellness center. So it's basically a gym that's really close to our building. All our students have access to the Rec and Wellness Center. We have counseling services, Veteran Success Center in case you have any military benefits you want to utilize. Our Career Center, where we host different events throughout the year, like career fairs, grad fairs. The Graduate Success Center on campus, where it's a designated center specifically for graduate students to it's like a lounge area specifically for grad students. There's computers, there's a kitchenette, again, specifically for our grad students. We have different sporting events throughout the year. We have a study abroad program, like I mentioned, and also Overshaw Den, which is the center we have on campus that intends to help students who are in most need. So our Overshaw Den helps with basic needs like food, shelter, clothing, and providing resources for those students who are struggling that way. Now, I wanted to invite you, if you haven't already, go ahead and visit our website. A lot of the information I covered today will be included in our website. And once you're a student with us as well, you'll have additional resources like forms, information on, the classes and contact information, events sometimes. So make sure you visit that. So that's just csusb.edu/MBA. Okay. And I wanted to let you know that we currently are accepting applicants for spring 2025. The application opened up last month and it'll go through January 6th. But if you already know you want to start our program, I don't encourage for you to wait until January 6th. You can submit your application now or, as soon as you know this is the school you want to attend. And then we make a decision within 2 to 3 weeks of you applying and submitting all your documents. Now, if you apply for spring 25, you would be starting classes January 2025. If you're interested in the fully online program, there will be another opportunity for you to start in March instead of January. Or if spring is too soon, you can also start in our fall 2025 session in August. Okay. I don't see any questions, but again, feel free to bring up any questions you might have. We also wanted to let you know we are currently on all these social media platforms. If you're on social media, make sure you're following us on Instagram, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on YouTube. We often post different resources or events that we'll be having throughout the year. So even if you're not a student yet, or even if and when you become a student, join us so that you can be following just the events we're having. Now, I haven't been getting a lot of questions, but you can scan the QR code in the page, and if you wanted to schedule a one-on-one appointment with me. So if you have specific questions on just the admissions requirements, your specific situation, or even if you just need application help with navigating the application portal, which is CalState Apply, feel free to schedule that appointment with me and I'll be happy to help. I'll be your contact for that. And actually, I'm going to include my contact information. I'll put it in the chat as well in case you wanted to send me an email. But any questions I can answer while we're all here. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Yes, what's your question?
Is it possible to do a MBA fully online?
Yes, yeah, we do have the MBA for executives fully online, so that one does require leadership experience. We can confirm by looking at your resume I forgot to mention that part. So if you're not sure if you meet the experience requirements for our MBA for executives, you can email us your resume. I'll take a look at it and recommend whether the traditional or the executives is going to be a better fit. If the traditional is a better fit for you, meaning you don't have a lot of experience in a leadership role, the traditional MBA with concentrations, that one's only on campus.
Oh, understood. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Is there a requirement for how much leadership you need?
2 years. So we're looking at least 24 months of experience, ideally postgraduate, so after you graduated from your bachelor's degree, but we can be a little flexible on that. Yeah, so like I said, if you wanted to send me your resume, I'll be more than happy to review it. I also put my contact information at the bottom. MBA@csusb.edu. You can email me and just say, hey, I'm thinking about the MBA for executives. Can you check my resume and see if I qualify? And I can tell that way.
Okay, what if like the traditional route isn't feasible for us and we would prefer to do it online, but we don't have the experience with the executive?
So unfortunately, at the moment, we don't have the traditional MBA program online. So it's either on campus or that's the only option, really. Now, I can say there are a lot of fully online classes, but I don't want to promise you that your entire program is going to be fully online. You will have to come to campus a few times a week.
Okay, thank you.
Of course.
What's the criteria to be accepted for an MBA at Cal State?
As long as the good thing about our program is currently at the moment, we're not impacted. So as long as you have the minimum requirements for admission, we can guarantee guarantee you a spot in that program. So I'm putting it here. We discussed this. I think you joined a little after I covered this, but we require a bachelor's degree with at least a 3.0 GPA or higher. We can go down to a 2.5 if needed. We'll ask for a letter of recommendation, a resume, statement of purpose, and an interview, as well as the business aptitude requirement, which can be if you already have a graduate degree, you can meet it that way. If you have at least 2 years of professional experience, you can meet it that way. Or if you graduated from a AACSB accredited business program with a 3.2 or higher, you can meet it that way. Now, if you don't have any of these, we might ask for the GRE or the GMAT. So,
Thank you.
yeah, of course. Like I said, if you have questions specifically as to where you stand on that, feel free to schedule a one-on-one appointment with me and I'll be happy to help with that.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
My pleasure. Any other questions for now? Anything else?
In one of your slides, you had the traditional MBA with a concentration in
This one?
right. So for the fully online executive MBA, what is the concentration?
So you don't have a concentration for the MBA for executives online. It would just your diploma would read MBA concentration in executives. So you don't select a concentration for that program.
Thank you.
Of course. All right. Well, I don't see any other questions, but thank you everyone for joining me today. Hopefully we can hear from you. And I'll go ahead and end our session again. Thank